how to build chest and shoulder strength with the floor press.
Unleash your power, achieve your potential.
I'm John Calarco, Holistic Health and Performance Coach. If you have weak chest, shoulder muscles, or even tricep muscles, or if you have shoulders that you feel are excessively rounded forward or elevated up towards the ears all the time, then the floor press is going to be a great exercise for you because it's going to help you build the fundamental levels of stability and strength in the shoulders and chest and even the triceps as well. And it's going to help you optimize the positioning of your shoulders as we work on putting the shoulders in their ideal position to be loaded, which is also going to carry over to improving our posture. And of course, this is going to help you prevent injury in the shoulders. Now, the floor press is really the first pressing exercise, at least in my opinion, that you should master before any other pushing or pressing exercise. All right, it really lays the foundation for us to learn how to perform one of the fundamental human movement patterns properly, which is the push movement pattern, okay, whenever we're pushing something. Now, pushing is not only limited to just a horizontal plane like I'm going to show you in this video, but it also turns into more of a diagonal push and even a vertical push as we press things overhead. But we want to start and lay the groundwork in the horizontal pushing movement pattern because it's the easiest one to perform and doesn't require as much mobility as going overhead does. So this is why for the pressing and pushing movement pattern, we want to start here in a horizontal position. And again, this exercise specifically is going to be a great one for you. Now, we're going to be on the ground, and what that's going to do when we do the floor press, as the name says, it's going to limit how deep we can go, which is one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they do bench press and they do any type of dumbbell or barbell bench press. Sometimes people go too low or lower than they should for their anatomy and for their ability to keep their shoulders in a neutral position, and that can overstress the joint capsule in the shoulder and the ligaments in the shoulder. So this exercise really limits you to almost hit that perfect sticking point. All right, now, of course, the muscles that we're gonna be working, as I just mentioned, are gonna be the chest as we drive forward, okay, and adduct, horizontally adduct, that's gonna work the pectoralis major muscle, our main chest muscle that's on the outside that you can see. Of course, we're gonna be working the shoulders as well as we flex through the shoulder and we press back up to the start position, which is gonna be hand, elbow, and shoulder all stacked in alignment with each other. And then of course, the tricep as we extend the arm is gonna be active once we press up as we squeeze through the muscle to finish that press. All right, so, another video that really laid a foundation for you to do this properly that I showed you previously was the shoulder packing exercise. Now, we're gonna be packing the shoulder before we begin our press here, so if you haven't learned how to pack the shoulder properly, I will give you a quick review here, but I'd highly recommend that you really master that ability first before you start trying to do, a pressing exercise in the horizontal plane, because it's very easy for people to lose their optimal position of keeping that shoulder in a nice neutral position, which is a packed position in the joint, okay? It seems simple here, and it will seem simple when I show you how to pack the shoulder, but it definitely takes some conscious practice before you start pressing to really master that ability. So again, I'd highly recommend after you learn this exercise, go watch the shoulder packing video. I'll bring it here for you on the video, and then from there, you can master that, practice that, and see how it carries over and helps you press optimally through the horizontal plane. All right, so let's get set up for that floor press. We're gonna come onto the ground, all right, laying onto our back. Take the dumbbells right about to your hips, okay, so have one on each side of you here. You can use kettlebells as well, whatever you have available, okay? That's just gonna make it easier for us to get set up in the start position. All right, now I like to have the feet planted here versus straight because again, when the legs are planted, we're gonna have more stability in the core. When we're straight like this, often we're not keeping the perfect neutral spine. So sometimes people can get overarched through that. But again, as I've shown you on the channel many times, speaking about that issue of having overextension in the low back, hopefully you're keeping up with those videos and working on optimizing your neutral spine so you can be neutral here or here. But optimally, we'll go feet planted so that maintains us closer to the ground, and we can even use some drive through the legs here to help stabilize. All right, so once we're set there, we're gonna grab onto the dumbbells, all right, and then we're just gonna simply flex through the elbow there. We're gonna bend the arms. Okay, that's a nice easy way just to get the dumbbells hands over the elbows, and then we're gonna just push them up to the top and start to think about a setup position. Now from here, we're gonna work through the shoulder packing, as I just mentioned a second ago. So you're gonna focus on driving the shoulders down away from the ears, okay, setting them in a neutral position, making sure that they're not pushed up forward towards the ceiling or excessively retracted in the star position, okay? We want the shoulder joint in a neutral position and packed here. All right, we'll be doing some shoulder retraction or shoulder blade retraction as we lower the dumbbells, okay? Once you get set there in the shoulder packing position, make sure you still got a neutral spine. Make sure that as you're packing, you're not overextending like that. All right, so we're set in neutral. We're simply gonna inhale to initiate the movement, lower the dumbbells down and slightly forward, and then we're gonna exhale and press them up and back, okay? So I'll show you a few reps. So we're gonna inhale, lower, so the hand is still stacked over the elbow. And then as we press up and back, now the hands are stacked again over the elbow and the shoulder, okay? So the press isn't just straight up and down. I'll show you a few more. Inhale, lower under control, maintain that shoulder packing position. Exhale as you drive back to the top. Okay, just a gentle tap on the ground and then press back up. We're not resting on the ground, okay? So the execution of the exercise is pretty simple there. Now, in terms of where we should feel the exercise, of course, in a pressing horizontally exercise, we're gonna feel the chest working, we're gonna feel the shoulders working and the triceps. And in terms of the mistakes that we definitely don't wanna make here, I spoke to them a little bit already as I was cueing you through performing the exercise properly. So the first mistake that we don't wanna make is to make sure that we're not shrugging the shoulders excessively, all right? So we wanna pack the shoulders, make sure they're in that packed position and they maintain there the entire time. And then when we lower the weights, the second mistake that people will make here is they just lower the dumbbells straight down on a press. And it may seem like that's the thing you're supposed to do because you're just lowering to the ground and coming up, but the press is actually down and forward, okay? So that my elbow and hand are stacked at the bottom and then I'm pressing up and back to restack my hand over my elbow and shoulder, right? So that's really the biggest key to the press and making sure we have the right angles to press through. Now, as you can see here, I have my shoulders set and my hand set at about 45 degrees, okay? That's gonna be the ideal angle to press, about 30 degrees, okay, there in the shoulder that we wanna press from. We don't really wanna be pressing all the way out here like this, so make sure you don't make that mistake of flaring the elbows. But if you're packing the shoulders and you're really driving and maintaining that, especially to the bottom position, that should happen naturally, all right? You should naturally be in that about 30-degree position. That's gonna be the strongest position for the shoulders to press and be loaded in. Now, it goes without saying, it's not bad to press a little bit wider if you do want to target the chest a little bit more. You just have to make sure you're not excessively shrugging the shoulders and you're not going out excessively. You could even, potentially go to, somewhere close to 80, 70 degree angle on this, and you'll be fine if you're more advanced and you have the body awareness to maintain that shoulder down, okay, into a neutral position and get there without shrugging up excessively and putting excess stress on the front side of the shoulder, all right? Last thing that you wanna make sure that you don't do is when you lower and you get to that bottom position, make sure you don't let those shoulders round forward. As I mentioned, if the shoulders are packed, we're keeping them packed the entire time so we won't get that going on. But even though the floor prevents us from going too deep on this exercise and getting that rounding forward, I've still seen many clients make that mistake even on the floor press. So sometimes we think the floor limits us enough to not make that mistake, and people will still make that mistake. So again, that's the importance of making sure that you can pack the shoulders properly so that once you're packed, you're set. You don't have to think about all that stuff. You can just set yourself, lower, find that feel of the hand staying stacked over the elbow at the bottom and then pressing it back up to that triple stack position again with the hand, elbow, and shoulder, okay? So that's how we perform the floor press exercise and the mistakes that we don't wanna make. Now, just a couple quick variations on this. You can do this exercise with one dumbbell. In fact, in most cases, I recommend starting with one dumbbell so you can really keep your awareness on one side at a time. Okay, pack the shoulder, just like in the shoulder packing exercise, which I demonstrated for you, single arm, okay? I generally start clients single arm on this, driving down, getting set in that start position so they can really keep their attention on one thing, okay? So it's often beneficial to do one arm at a time. Then you can also alternate with that. That's typically where I like to go next, is to have people just pack the shoulder. While we're lowering one dumbbell, we're getting that active shoulder packing practice in the other shoulder. All right, and then as you get more advanced with it, you can go right to that double arm variation where we're pressing. And typically when we're doing the double arm variation, now we're just focused on more, true strength training and working, those chest and shoulder muscles and triceps to a higher level. All right, so those are some variations on this exercise and ways you can go about it depending on your level and where you're at. Now, in terms of the sets and reps for this exercise, 2 to 3 sets of about 10 to 15 reps is generally where we would start. Okay, again, if you're just developing your ability to do pressing and do that push pattern in the horizontal plane properly, that's generally where we would start because again, we're working on skill and we want to do more reps so we can practice the skill and really make sure that we're getting it down and getting it technically correct. And then also as we're doing more reps even up to 12, 15, then we're training the stabilizing muscles and developing some endurance in those stabilizing muscles so we can lay that foundation of stability and endurance and then go and push heavier weights and have the stabilizing muscles work properly so we can work our bigger muscles, our chest and shoulder muscles, stronger and more effectively when they have that foundation of stability to work on top of those prime moving muscles, to work on top of those stabilizing muscles. All right. Now, if you're more advanced, this is still a great exercise for you. You could drop the rep ranges down to even 6-ish reps. I wouldn't really go lower than 6 reps on this, but you can do anywhere from 6 to, however many you want to do. If you're working on a, higher volume, higher repetition based training block and you want to still do 12, 15, you can do that. But if you're just working for more of a strength benefit, 6 to 10 reps is something you can do if you're more advanced. But typically, and I'll give you the reason real quick why you don't want to really go less than 6 on this, or why I haven't found it to be beneficial, is because of that setup position, okay? As if I'm going really heavy on this, if I'm really strong and I'm going heavy on this and I'm trying to do like sets of 5, 4, and even 3, it becomes tricky to get the dumbbells in position. This becomes a little bit tough to almost bicep curl the dumbbells here. So sometimes that can just get awkward and you may be better off just on the bench. So again, it depends on how much weight you're using and how comfortable it is for you to get set up. But again, this can be an exercise you can use when you get more advanced to develop that pressing power. It really helps carry over well to our bench press exercise. And again, really helps us in that bottom position, that kind of sticking point that is usually the deepest we want to go on a press to keep our shoulders as healthy as possible. It really helps us train right in that position and show us where it is and we can load that up and develop it. So in terms of timing for this exercise, this is more of a multi-joint movement, right? So this is an exercise that we want to do earlier in a training program. So earlier in the workout, meaning we don't want to necessarily do this at the end of our workout after we're fatigued. If you are more of a beginner, though, this can be an exercise that you do practice in the beginning, again, if you're just working on more skill and fundamental levels of stability. All right, so if this is helpful for you, hit the like button below here and make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. As you can tell, this is a video in a series of exercises where I'm showing you how to build the levels of stability and strength that you need to perform the human movement pattern of the push pattern properly and effectively. So make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the future videos coming in this series. I'm going to move on. I'm going to show you how to press dumbbells, and bench press and do all more advanced variations of pressing diagonally and overhead. So make sure you stay tuned for those. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. I'd be happy to answer them for you. And until then, unleash your power, achieve your potential.